Hello, Degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes College Football Week 5. Not best bets, because if we could bet on college football in the past, no, I think you and I would both make a lot more money. But no, this is going to be Week 5 reactions and takes.
I think I'd be 100%. Well, or pretty damn close to it. If you're like, okay, no, looking at the slate, you got to make bets based on your recollection of what happened this week.
Oh, shit.
I'd probably misremember one or two games on the entire slate, but I'd be pretty damn good at remembering all that.
Yeah, you have a memory like a fucking elephant. That's what they say, right? That's a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got one of those, Noah. And of course, joining me is the man with the money. I know, shit. Oh, the sportsbook whisperer, college basketball guru, daddy of the diamond. All hail the king of the links, Mr. Noah Engelbrecht's in the money train. How you doing, bub?
Doing great. Been another great weekend of football, as it always is. Still haven't figured out how to consistently bet either college or NFL football well. I don't know why this is the one sport that just blows my mind and I can't get it right, because the logical decision just never ends up panning out, it seems like.
No, absolutely not. You almost have to fade yourself whenever you're picking. But at the same time, I saw something that said sportsbooks lost them. It was like the most profitable NFL Sunday of the season for bettors, like this weekend so far. And so, I mean, I didn't get any of that, but shout out to the people who did. I was not positive. I had a rough NFL, had a rough college, but no, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about bets later. I got to get your thoughts on some stuff, bro, because it was a very, very eventful college football weekend, starting all the way back Thursday, ending Saturday. Let's talk about, I think we can firmly state the two best teams in the country right now. All right? That being, obviously, number one, Alabama, out of this week's AP poll, and number 3, Ohio State. Bro, I mean, as much as I hate to say it about Bama, they're Bama. I mean, bro. And
they're legit. They're legit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're completely legit. We do want to T's and P's to Bryce Young, because that sucks. It doesn't sound like it's too serious. Do you have any more insight on that?
Yeah, he's questionable for this week. So, there's a possibility he might not miss a single game. If he does, it shouldn't be more than a 1 or 2 game absence. Alabama, obviously, Bryce Young goes down. They're up big. Arkansas pulls it to a 5-point game. And then Bama did Bama things. He just started pushing on the gas again. Their backup quarterback, can't remember his name, but he looked pretty damn good as well.
Oh yeah, what is his name? I can pull it up real quick. But yeah, they beat Arkansas 49-26. In Arkansas. I mean, Noah, how much do we take from this? Are the pigs dead? But I don't even want to take anything from this game because it was Bama. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, as far as college football playoff hopes, yeah, they're dead.
Oh, yeah, they're dead
now.
Yeah.
Obviously sucks the week before against Texas A&M at Texas A&M, and you barely doink the game-winning field goal. This one, they were in it for about 10 minutes, and the funny thing is that 10 minutes was not at the beginning of the game. It was in the smack dab in the middle of the game. You had Bama scoring 28 unanswered, then Arkansas scoring 23 unanswered, and then I think Bama scored 21 unanswered or something.
21. 3 points. They got a field goal at the end there.
Oh, 21-3 after that. So kind of a weird swing and momentum type of game. Probably a lot of money won or lost live betting this one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could have won money 3 times over or lost money 3 times over live betting this one. Just flipping it. Weird game.
Weird game, dude.
But Bama looking completely dominant against a very good Arkansas team on the road. The other team we mentioned, Ohio State, looking very dominant. Were they at Rutgers?
No, they were home.
But still, Rutgers undefeated, I think, coming into this game.
Yes. No, they were 1 loss. Excuse me.
Okay, Rutgers 3-1 coming into this game. A Rutgers team that I think is pretty decent. They'll be bowl eligible.
Absolutely.
They'll probably go around 500 in the Big Ten. Ohio State absolutely blowing them out 49-10. And then we have Georgia, who
Yeah. What the?
after last week, I said I wasn't going to react to it. I thought it was a fluke game, but one 2 or 3 score game that was close against Kent State. I write that off as just a fluke game.
Yeah, absolutely.
They damn near lost to Missouri.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And Mizzou very well could have won that game.
Noah, Georgia had to come back.
Yeah, they had to come back big.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down, 22-6 at one point, something like that?
Bet. It was terrible.
If Mizzou converts one or two more of those red zone trips into touchdowns instead of field goals, I mean, that would have been world-shaking for Mizzou, who's a bottom feeder in the SEC, to beat number 1 ranked Georgia. Georgia was close to a unanimous number 1, not quite close, or not quite unanimous. I think Alabama had 4 votes and Ohio State had 1 last week. Bama getting 25 this week. Georgia's still getting 28 votes, so the most first place votes, but Bama edging them out by 2 points in the AP poll because Georgia's been put third more than Bama has. Ohio State getting 10 first place votes, and they're not super far behind either.
No.
So I still think Georgia ends up making their way into the college football playoff, but now I'm a little bit nervous about them.
And it's not, we kind of knew this from the beginning of the season. Georgia's defense was going to be the strongest part of their game. Even though they lost all their starters and everything, we knew this Georgia defense was going to come in and be solid. It was the offense. It's always been a question on the offense. This offense didn't really, they produced last year, but I don't know what's going on there. They can't seem to figure it out. They're starting to get into Michigan and Clemson territory for me, bro.
Well, yeah, I think their offense is very similar to how it was last year. I think their defense is just a step worse. And, they had maybe one of the top defenses all time in college football last year. I mean, that defense was absolutely stonewall, amazing, crazy. And obviously you lose 8 starters, you're not going to be quite the same. Their defense is still very good, but I don't know that their defense is capable of carrying them through games, especially with the fact that they have Kentucky and who do they have on the rest of their schedule?
Ooh.
So they got to play Tennessee at home. They got to play at Mississippi State and at Kentucky.
Those aren't easy games there. Those aren't easy games like they could have been or should have been maybe.
Yep. I'm not worried for their next 2 games. You got Auburn at home, Vandy at home, and then even Florida at home. I'm not worried about that, although Florida could be a potential spoiler, but I don't really think so. It's going to be that 3-game stretch: Tennessee at home, at Mississippi State, at Kentucky. That's going to be tough. I could easily see the Bulldogs dropping a game or even potentially 2 in that 3-game stretch there, which will make it very tough on them.
Yeah, no, it's going to be hard for Georgia, I think, to come out of this. I don't think they make the playoffs this year. I think we got too many other teams, like the Kansas Jayhawks, who we'll get to in a little bit. But I mean, seriously, it could come down to one of these very close games, just edging them out of the top 4. I think if we really get down to it. However, there's such a drop off from those top 3. You know what I mean? And we've been talking about it constantly. I mean, you get into Michigan, Clemson. I like USC, but Oklahoma State, Tennessee, I mean, if you want to throw Tennessee in there, I don't know if I'd throw them in there. I hate it. I mean, this Michigan game played out exactly how I thought it was going to, but
Iowa sucked.
Dude, Iowa's bad, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We might have been a little happy-handed, betting Iowa money line and everything like that, thinking the upset was coming, but I mean...
Yeah, that is something to look at. If you bet on Iowa, which... Did I bet on Iowa?
Yeah, we had a whole thing that we're like, Michigan's going to drop this one. They're due. They're not that good.
I did take Iowa to cover 10.5.
Yeah.
That was foolish. Iowa has the worst offense in FBS so far this year. I was gonna just drop a lot of. It's so fucking weird because they have a top 5 defense and the worst, like
Oh,
literally the worst offense in FBS.
worst.
So, the thing is, like, you score 13 points on Iowa, you probably beat them. The thing is, it's hard to score 13 points on Iowa. So, like, they're just this whole fucking catch-22 of a team right now because it's like all you need to do is maybe like score 13, maybe 17 points on them, and you got a W. But that's pretty damn hard to do against that defense.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, for any team, even Bama, I think would have trouble putting up 27 against that defense. They're just
Bama probably beats Iowa like 27-3.
so I'm fine with
like
that, but I mean that's as many points as Michigan put up, and so I think they'll put up maybe 30 then, because it's Bama. But with that being said, I still think Michigan is fake. I don't think they deserve to be number 4. I still say, who have you played? They played finally a good defense, so we know the offense can move the ball a little bit, kind of, not really, only scoring.
They
They
also gave up 14 points to Iowa's offense. So
yeah, so that can't make anyone feel good. So again, Michigan fans, if you feel good about this victory, take a step back and realize, oh, I'm just some homer that doesn't know shit about football. It happens, okay? It happens. But moving on to the next team that I think is absolutely fake, Clemson. They close it out against NC State pretty handedly. NC State didn't look particularly good halfway through this game. They still fought through, but the defense just couldn't hold it together. I still don't think I've seen enough from Clemson to see them in the top 5. USC should be in the top 5, especially after their win over Arizona State, looking dominant as usual. Any thoughts on Clemson, Noah?
I think I'm ready to pull the fake tag off Clemson.
No, you're not. No.
They're starting to show me enough that they could be a pretty damn good football team. AJ, I've got them I've got them right at 5 in my personal rankings.
They're wrong, Noah. I'm sorry. Clemson is not a number 5 team. They're just not, dude. That was not that game. If they were really that dominant at number 5, they should have handled NC State, and they didn't handle NC State. They beat them by 10 points. Honest to God, NC State's defense gets one extra stop. This is a different football game. They turn one of those red zone trips, like you said, into a play. I mean, it's a different ball game, and NC State walks out. I think this was a game that it just kind of mattered which way the ball landed, and the ball landed more in Clemson's side, which is fine. It happens in football, but I'm not going to sit here and listen to you saying, yeah, no, they're real now. They're real. They beat NC State. No, they should have beat NC State. They should have beat them by a lot more. Yeah. And so I think that says more about NC State and how good they are if they can hang with Clemson. But Clemson's not real, so it doesn't matter.
You're being a little contradictory there, but this is hard for me because I really want to pick and think Oklahoma State will make the playoff. There might be a tough decision on the hands of the college football playoff committee this year, where they're going to be stuck between 3 choices, putting 2 SEC teams in again, an undefeated Clemson, and an undefeated Oklahoma State. So they're going to have like a 1-loss Georgia.
What?
Or Alabama. Well, look at Clemson's schedule, dude. Who the hell are they going to lose to?
Syracuse. Like undefeated Syracuse, number 22.
Okay, baby, but like
Notre Dame has a good bounce back game on NBC. Primetime game.
Notre Dame's looked like dog shit, so let's not try to act like Notre Dame's going to do anything.
South Carolina and Clemson's feeling comfortable at the end of the season, and then they play spoilers. I can do this all day, Noah.
Okay, well, never mind. I think they could very well go 12-0 here. Yeah, I'm not going to fully rip off that overrated tag, but I'm getting ready to. I'm prepared to. They show me 1 or 2 more good performances, and I will rip off that overrated tag. I'm never going to call them underrated, but I might call them adequately rated.
All right, fine, Noah. If you're getting ready then to rip off that tag, how about this? Are you ready to get in the Trojan horse with me and jump on this USC bandwagon?
No.
Come on.
They gave up 25 points to ASU.
ASU doesn't have a bad offense. What do you want me to tell you? It's not that
only won by
shitty. They had Herm
17.
Edwards as a head coach. That's what was the problem. Listen, don't get me wrong. I think ASU is not a good team right now. Urban Meyer's going to get here next season, though, and he's going to change the whole culture of the team and really create that winning mentality. But no, it doesn't matter. ASU has an adequate enough offense. I mean, they rattled off 8 wins last year. Not too shabby. I mean, they were just off to a rough start this year. They're fine. They're a fine offense. Not a good offense, not a bad offense. They're a fine offense. USC, though, is the whole package, bro.
So here's what I want to ask, because I know you have USC winning the Pac-12. I have Utah still winning it. So Utah plays in Tempe and beats them by 21 points, 34-13. USC at home in LA beats them 42-25. So Utah winning by 4-point greater margin on the road than USC could at home against an ASU team that is not good. We both know they're not good.
Yes, but they put up fights. They're a scrappy team. They got what's his name? I can't think of it right now. Their quarterback is great. I like him a lot. It's Dylan something. Shit, I'm losing my mind.
They lost to Eastern Michigan.
Yes, Noah, and that's why Herm Edwards is gone. Okay, it's a different direction right now. It's a different team. They're gonna let him throw a little bit more. Defense is gonna tighten up, bro. I don't like the ASU squad, but you got to give them a little respect in this game here. USC should be number one, no ifs, ands, or buts, and they're winning the Pac-12 and possibly a national championship.
They might lose their next 2 games.
No shot.
They might lose their next 2 games.
They're not going to lose at Washington State, and they're not going to lose at Utah. I'm sorry, excuse me. They're not going to lose to Washington State at home and at Utah.
They're going to lose one of the 2 of them. They're going to lose one of the 2 of them, if not both. Mark my words. You heard it here.
No shot.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Whatever. All right, no. Let's talk about 2 teams that they might be in the same state, but they're on 2 very different paths, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I mean, Oklahoma has been as fraudulent as ever, losing to TCU 55-24, whereas Oregon State seems to be also shitting the bed a little bit with a big loss to Utah this week. But, I mean, oh, wait, I am looking at the wrong fucking thing, Noah. I am sorry. That's why the sentence didn't make sense to me. I can't read. Oklahoma State beat Baylor 36-25. So 2 teams on very different paths right now, Noah. Is Oklahoma absolutely dead? And how real is Oklahoma State?
Yeah, Oklahoma's dead. They shouldn't have been in the rankings this week. Like, after losing to K-State, the only reason they're in the rankings is because they're Oklahoma. And yeah, and they got absolutely embarrassed by TCU. Like, that game wasn't close. It was never close.
No.
And I think TCU's got a good program this year, but like not good enough to the point where like they should be beating ranked teams by almost 30 points. Oklahoma's done. Their season's over.
Yes.
Just throw them in the Duke's Mayo Bowl or something and call it good. However, the other team in the Bedlam rivalry here, they're legit. They are legit. I've got them as my number 4 team in the country right now.
Wow.
I think if they go clean slate, they are definitely in the playoff because they will have a better resume than any Pac-12 team. They'll have a better resume than any ACC team. So they are a lock if they can win every single game, which I think they might do. You know, they got a tough game at Baylor out of the way, still won that game by 11 points. Obviously not going to be an easy gauntlet. Got to play at TCU in a couple weeks, at K-State, at Kansas.
I can't believe you're saying that about the Jayhawks.
But yeah, and you get those 3 out of the way. Not going to write off at Oklahoma because Oklahoma's still a somewhat decent team and they're playing on the road there, but and it's a rivalry game, big rivalry game. So
huge.
Anything can happen in those as always.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I like, you know, it's whether it's, you know, 20, 30% odds, 15% odds that they finish this season undefeated. I'm taking it. I'm buying in. I'm buying in on the Pokes. I think they go undefeated. and they're going to have a stronger resume than any team outside of the Big Ten or the SEC. So if they go undefeated, they could beat out. If we end up with a situation, say you have an undefeated like USC, Oklahoma State, and Clemson, theoretically. Oklahoma State's resume is way better than both USC and Clemson's.
True.
So if you're the committee, you have to put Oklahoma State above both of those two if all three are undefeated, if it comes down to that. Clemson and USC, it's probably a toss-up. Honestly, the Pac-12 playing a lot better this season, so I think I would give the Pac-12 an edge over the ACC. But the Big 12 is way stronger through and through than both the Pac-12 and the ACC. ACC. So if they can run that undefeated, I mean, Oklahoma State's in the playoff, no doubt.
Damn.
Which they should have been last year. They should have been last year if they didn't choke that one away. And, there might have been some questionable calls. I'm not going to get into that. But, they very well could have been in the playoff last year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Damn. You make a good case for him. I'll say that. I'll give you that. You make a damn good case for him. But can I give you a case for Penn State being all the way back? Because I can't. I wish I could. But, I mean... They look good, but number 11 seems high, especially beating Northwestern 11-7. I mean, I don't know how I feel about. I'm sorry, they're up to 10 now. Excuse me, but
yeah,
I don't know how I feel about them in the top 10. I first saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, and then I kind of went through their schedule. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, they had that blowout at Auburn, but they didn't look particularly great against Central Michigan. They didn't look particularly good against Northwestern. I'm not fully bought in on Penn State as a top 10 team. I think they're good, but I think they deserve to be in the top 25 for sure. But top 10, I don't. I think that's a little too much.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Noah. And I wish I could, but I just can't yet. What about Oregon? Are they real? At 12 now?
Nah, dude, they're about to get embarrassed at Arizona here.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Because, as I've said, they have a track record of when they're really good, losing when they come to Tucson. Oregon loves to lose when they come to Tucson. We know Bo Nix can't play on the road. He's probably going to throw about 4 picks. Arizona's going to win this game by like 2 points. It's going to be a nail biter down to the end. Yeah, dude, I am not sold on Oregon at all.
No.
I don't know what the AP committee is seeing. Maybe it's just because it's Oregon. But, like, the fact that they're barely under Utah in voting points, Utah has looked so much more dominant than Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
just so much more put together.
Utah lost a game in Gainesville when it was over 90 degrees and over 90% humidity, and those boys in Utah are not used to that.
No.
That type of weather. And it was a real close game that Utah almost won at the end. Cam Rising obviously throwing the pick in the end zone when, if that had been incomplete, they kick a field goal, they go to overtime, Utah might still win that game. Utah could very well be 5-0. And Utah should be borderline top 5 if they had won that Florida game, but they lost it, so I get it. They're at 11. Utah is the best team in the Pac-12. They're going to win the Pac-12. They're not going to drop another single game this season, although that USC one might be a little bit tough, but it's in Utah, so I'm not worried about it. But Oregon, on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised to see Oregon out of the rankings by the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing that happens every year. They're in the rankings, they fuck around for a little bit, and then they're out. I mean, they literally are the definition of fuck around and find out every single year. And they find out. They find out every year.
I mean, you look at who they've got to play. Like they're not going through, UCLA and then they got Arizona, which we'll see what happens there. They'll probably win that, to be honest. I'm talking Arizona up a little too much for that, but then they have UCLA at home. They'll be fine. They'll probably win that one because Bo Nix at home, right?
Yeah.
At California, who knows? They might drop that one. They might. California's not looking terrible.
No.
They're not going to lose to Colorado because Colorado's the worst worst FBS team, maybe even in the country.
Oh, absolutely.
And they have Washington.
They haven't won a game.
Oh God, they have Washington at home, Utah at home. Lucky that they get both those two at home. but I wouldn't be surprised if they drop one of the two of those, if not both. And then they play at Oregon State. Oregon State's probably going to win that game on the last game of the season. Oregon goes to a 8-4 record maybe, and and then they're playing in a decent to mediocre bowl.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
happens.
Their ceiling for me.
It always is, but they keep doing this shit to us, so we got to keep talking about them until they're done. Noah, I want your final thoughts real quick, and then we can talk about, and then I want your final thoughts on just college football in general. But let's talk about the game day. TCU, Kansas. Brief look at it. Kansas is just on a run that I don't think anyone expected. They won their first game in however many years last season, and then they're undefeated. Finally in the rankings at number 19, they'll be facing number 17 TCU. It's going to be at the Jayhawks. Bro, what's going on with the Jayhawks, and how bad are they going to get the shit kicked out of them by TCU?
I don't think they are going to get the shit kicked out of them.
Oh, wow.
I will say TCU over their little 4-0 stretch has probably looked a little bit better than Kansas over their 5-0 stretch so far this year, but Kansas looks legit. And I can't believe I'm saying that about Jayhawk football. If you told me 2 years ago that Kansas was going to get off to a 5-0 start this year, I wouldn't even ask you who they were playing on their schedule. I would just be like, no, you're bullshitting. Because even if they're playing 3 FCS teams to start the year, and then the worst 2 teams in the Big 12 to follow it up, I still wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it. So I'm excited. They've got something different though, because the whole fan base that whole team believes they're a good team.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of scary when you have a mediocre or bad team that believes they're a good team, because you know what? Sometimes that team ends up being a good team because they're just so blinded by the lack of talent they have compared to their opponents that they just go out and win because they got that confidence. They got the big cojones. They don't care.
Kind of like the Bengals last season. They were too young to know that they weren't supposed to be there. And then they, ran into the Rams, and that happened.
And what's his face? Their quarterback transferred from ASU. Daniels, McDaniels.
Yeah,
was
something.
Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Jaden
Daniels.
Yeah, he's playing unreal. He's playing really great. I think both these teams are going to be really good. I honestly think both of these teams are 8 or 9 win teams, maybe even 8 to 10 win teams, I guess, by the end of the year. I think both these teams are going to hover around the rankings and stick in the rankings for most of the season. I don't think either is going to really breach the top 10, but I think they both stick around in the rankings for the most of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And again, I can't believe I'm saying that about Kansas football.
No, not at all. But no, I've thought TCU was good coming into this season. They are obviously. They're going to stick around. They might even flirt with the top 10 if they get a win here this weekend. But like you said, I can't believe we're saying this about KU football, but they might be the thing. They might be that damn good this year. We'll fuck around and find out, obviously. But Noah, before we wrap up, I want your final thoughts. Anything else we missed talking college football?
Yeah, last week, teams ranked at 15 through 25. Out of the 11 teams, 9 of them losing. Kansas State and BYU, I believe, the only one.
Washington.
Washington lost to UCLA.
Oh, you're right.
Who was not ranked? Maybe it was 3 of them won.
Might have been.
Yeah, Wake Forest, BYU,
K-State.
and K-State, I guess, was at 25. So 3 out of those 11 teams won, 8 of them losing. We've, as a result of that, got 7 new teams in the top 25. And this has been there's been a lot of movement in the top 25 this year, more than I can remember in previous years through 5 weeks.
Oh,
So
yeah. No, lots of
I
movement
know,
and a lot of parity going on, though. A lot of teams not performing like they're supposed to perform.
yeah, I know we've seen 7, or were there any this past week that lost in the top 10? Yes. Kentucky lost and North Carolina State lost. So both top 10 teams. Doesn't matter, who they played, whatever. They both played ranked teams, but that makes 9 losses for top 10 teams so far this season through 5 weeks, which is, I guess, the most since like 2009 or something like that. So this is an interesting, weird year. Again, we've talked about how like we kind of have our top 3 teams and nobody else is safe, but maybe now we have our top 2 teams and nobody else is safe because Georgia's kind of on thin ice for me right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not
Georgia's thin.
not fully abandoning them as a big major contender, but one more bad game and I'm kind of jumping ship on Georgia.
I mean, I'm already off. I'm off the Titanic. I'm not going to follow this one down. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the teams that made it in. And
I've worked my way to the upper deck so I can jump off quickly if I need to.
exactly.
I'm still on the ship, but I'm hanging off the railing right now.
You're praying, hey, maybe if I swing far enough, I can get on a lifeboat or something. I don't know. But there was definitely room on that door. She could have saved Jack.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Noah, final thoughts. Anything else?
Hey man, Arizona looks good.
Arizona looks damn good, bro. Arizona looks real good.
No. My final thought is shout out to Arizona for 5 weeks into the season, breaking the win total over under. Only took us 5 weeks to get there, and you know what? Rest of the season doesn't matter. We broke our win total.
Yeah, we hit the over. Yeah, win total's broken. We're Jay chilling. Go U of A, bear down Cats, and of course
we might be the first one to do that. I don't know. Kansas might have beat us to it at 5-0. I'm not really sure. I'll have to fact check that one.
Please do. That'd be interesting. But yeah, thank you guys for listening and watching. Please like, share, and subscribe down below. Help us quit our day jobs. And yeah, follow us on the socials too, at Brofect1, at Engel Money Train for all of his best picks, locks, and predictions, of course. And yeah, hit that link tree down below so you can see all of that and the DGen shop. We have dope merch. Please check it out. With that being said, I've been the Brofect1 AJ. That's the Money Train Noah, and we'll see you next time on Degenerate Takes.